بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وبعد. Alhamdulillah, it's been a while since we did our Etiquettes of the Seeker of Knowledge class. Alhamdulillah, we'll continue where we left off. We did about 6 sessions before, and they're all accessible on the Facebook page and on the YouTube page, inshallah. But we will continue with the book from where we left off. Imam al-Zarnuji, he says, فَصْلٌ فِي تَعْظِيمِ الْعِلْمِ وَأَهْلِهِ, the chapter of honoring and venerating and holding in esteem knowledge and the people of knowledge. And he begins by saying, اعلم أن طالب العلم لا ينال العلم ولا ينتفع به إلا بتعظيم العلم وأهله. That know that the student or the seeker of knowledge does not attain knowledge and does not benefit by it, meaning by knowledge, إلا بتعظيم العلم وأهله, except when he honors and he venerates and he holds in high esteem knowledge itself and the people of knowledge, meaning the scholars and the teachers of knowledge. وتعظيم الأستاذ وتوقيره, and honoring the teacher and respecting the teacher. فقد قيل, it has been said, ما وصل من وصل إلا بالحرمة, no one has ever achieved in life, no one has ever reached except via respect. وما سقط من سقط إلا بترك الحرمة, and no one has ever failed to reach, no one has ever failed to acquire knowledge except the one that left respect. وقيل الحرمة خير من الطاعة, and it is said that respecting is even better than obedience. Respecting is even better than obedience. And then Imam al-Zarnuji, he gives the proof for this, and he says, ألا ترى أن الإنسان لا يكفر بالمعصية, don't you see that a human being doesn't disbelieve by doing sins? وإنما يكفر باستخفافها وبترك الحرمة, that a human being disbelieves in Allah by mocking and by belittling the deen, by belittling knowledge, by belittling the scholars of knowledge, وَبِتَرْكِ الْحُرْمَةِ, and by leaving respect. So as a Muslim, when you sin, a sinner isn't a kafir, a sinner is still a believer, but the one that makes fun of knowledge or the people of knowledge or anything that has to do with the deen, this person, he leaves the fold of Islam. And this is why he says, Al-Hurmatu khayrun min at-ta'ah, that respect is even greater than obedience. And then he says, وَمِن تَعْظِيمِ الْعِلْمِ تَعْظِيمُ الْمُعَلِّمِ, that from respecting and honoring and venerating knowledge is respecting and honoring one's teacher. قال علي رضي الله عنه, Ali رضي الله عنه, the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the 4th Khalifa of Islam, he said, أنا عبد من علمني حرفا واحدا, that I am the servant of the one who even teaches me one letter. I am the servant of that person. إن شاء باع, if that person wishes to sell me, he may. وإن شاء أعتق, if he wishes to free me, he may. وإن شاء استرق, if he wishes to keep me as a slave, he may. What is Ali radiallahu anhu trying to say? That I am the servant of the one that teaches me. Meaning you, that the person that teaches you, he has a great favor over you, a great ihsan over you. And then the author of the book, he says that I've written some lines of poetry, and he says, رَأَيْتُ أَحَقَّ الْحَقِّ حَقَّ الْمُعَلِّمِ, that the greatest right of the people whose rights should be fulfilled is the right of the teacher, obviously alongside with the parents. And then he says, وَأَوْجَبَهُ حِفْظًا عَلَى كُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ, and it is one of the most compulsory things that should be preserved for every single Muslim. لَقَدْ حَقَّ أَنْ يُهْدَى إِلَيْهِ كَرَامَةً لِتَعْلِيمِ حَرْفٍ وَاحِدٍ أَلْفُ دِرْهَمٍ, that I see that it is from the right of a teacher, when you're honoring him, to even give him whatever he wants, even if it's wealth, right? فإن من علمك حرفا مما تحتاج إليه من الدين فهو أبوك في الدين. He says that the one that teaches you even one letter, one thing that you need for your religion, that person becomes your father in religion. وكان أستاذنا الشيخ الإمام سديد الدين الشيرازي رحمه الله يقول قال مشايخنا من أراد أن يكون ابنه عالما فينبغي أن يرائي الغرباء من الفقهاء. That he said that whosoever wants their son to be a scholar of the religion, that person must take care of the scholars. وَيُكْرِمُهُمْ وَيُطْعِمُهُمْ, and that person should honor them, and that person should feed them. وَيُعَظِّمُهُمْ وَيُعْطِيهِمْ شَيْئًا, and he should give them something. فَإِنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ ابْنُهُ عَالِمًا كَانَ حَفِيدُهُ عَالِمًا. By the barakah of serving the scholars, that person, his son will either become a scholar or his grandson will become a scholar. And the scholars, they comment on this specific word, and they say that one of the examples of this is none other than Imam al-Ghazali. Imam al-Ghazali's father, he used to push a cart of wool. He was a poor man, he didn't have much, right? But he used to do one thing, and that was he loved knowledge and he loved the people of knowledge. And so he used to serve them. And what ended up happening is because of that, he had two sons. One's name was Ahmad, the other's name was Hamid. Hamid is Imam al-Ghazali. Both of them became two of the greatest scholars today. In fact, their books are still taught to this very day. Why? Because of one thing their father did, and that was respecting the scholars and respecting knowledge. وَمِن تَوْقِيرِ الْمُعَلِّمِ أَلَّا يَمْشِي أَمَامَهُ. And part of respecting one's teacher is not walking in front of him, right? وَلَا يَجْلِسُ مَكَانَهُ. And don't sit in his spot, right? وَلَا يَبْتَدِئُ بِالْكَلَامِ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ. And no one should speak, and he should not speak except with the permission of his teacher. When you're sitting in a classroom, especially for younger students, they shouldn't speak until the teacher picks them out to speak. وَلَا يُكْثِرُ الْكَلَامِ عِنْدَهُ. And you shouldn't speak a lot when you do speak. وَلَا يَسْأَلُ شَيْئًا عِنْدَ مَلَالَتِهِ. And when your teacher is tired or upset or his mood isn't in the right place, then don't ask him a lot of questions. وَيُرَاعِي الْوَقْتَ وَلَا يَدُقُّ الْبَابَ بَلْ يَصْبِرُ حَتَّى يَخْرُجْ. And if you're somebody in the past, the scholars, they would, and the students, they would actually accompany their teachers. So if you were learning a craft, you would accompany your teacher. And so sometimes you have to go to their house. And so he says that make sure you are mindful of their time, and when you go to their house, don't knock on their door aggressively, but wait until your teacher comes out if there is an agreed upon time. وَفِي الْجُمْلَةِ يَطْلُبُ رِضَاهُ. And overall, you should always seek the pleasure of your teacher. وَيَجْتَنِبُ سُخْطَهُ. And overall, you should stay away from the anger of your teacher. But he makes an exception. He says, وَيَمْتَثِلُ أَمْرَهُ فِي غَيْرِ مَعْصِيَةِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. That you should complete the orders of your teacher only when it is not in the disobedience of Allah. So if your teacher orders you to do something wrong, you don't listen. Why? Because of that example when the companions were with a man, they were with one of the other companions, and he said, jump in the fire. And they said, no, we're not going to jump in the fire. And then the Prophet ﷺ, when they went back to him, they said that should we have listened to the Amir? And the Prophet ﷺ said no. What was the reason the Prophet ﷺ gave? لا معصية لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق. That there is no obedience for the creation if it means disobeying the Creator. كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, just like the Prophet ﷺ said. And then he says, إن شر الناس من يذهب دينه لدنيا غيره. That the worst type of person is the one who forsakes his deen for the dunya of someone else. So again, yes, we should please our teachers, and yes, we should not upset our teachers, but at the same time, we have to make sure that anything that's asked of us is in accordance to the Quran and the Sunnah as well. If they're telling you something wrong, then just like your parents, you're not required to listen at that point. وَمِن تَوْقِيرِهِ تَوْقِيرُ أَوْلَادِهِ وَمَنْ يَتَعَلَّقُ بِهِ. And part of honoring the teacher is honoring his children as well, and those that are related to the teacher. وكان أستاذنا شيخ الإسلام برهان الدين صاحب الهداية رحمه الله يحكي أن واحدا من كبار أئمة بخارى كان يجلس مجلس الدرس. That he says that one of our teachers, his name was Burhanuddin. He was the author of the book Al-Hidayah. He tells us a story that one of the great scholars of the time in the city of Bukhara, he used to have a lesson, a class. And in the middle of his class, he used to stand up. وَكَانَ يَقُومُ فِي خِلَالِ الدَّرْسِ أَحْيَانًا. In the middle of his class, while teaching, he would get up. For example, if I get up right now in the middle while I'm talking, and he would get up, what would he do? فَسَأَلُوهُ عَنْ ذَلِكَ. The students, they asked, why do you get up in the middle of your class? He said, إِنَّ إِبْنَ أُسْتَاذِي يَلْعَبُ مَعَ الصِّبْيَانِ فِي السِّكَّةِ وَيَجِيءُ أَحْيَانًا إِلَى بَابِ الْمَسْجِدِ. That the child, that the son of my teacher, he would play in the streets, but sometimes he would come to the masjid and he would stand by the door. And because I saw the son of my teacher, I would get up out of respect for my teacher just because his son came, right? And again, this is the idea of showing respect to even the family members of the people of knowledge and the people that teach others. فَإِذَا رَأَيْتُهُ أَقُومُ لَهُ. When I would see him, I would stand up for the child, تَعْظِيمًا لِأُسْتَاذِي, in order to honor my teacher. And then he says, وَكَانَ الْقَاضِي الْإِمَامِ فَخْرُ الدِّينِ الْأَرْسَبَنْدِي رئيس الأئمة في مرو وكان السلطان يحترمه غاية الاحترام. That one of the great scholars by the name of Fakhruddin, he was known as the leader of the ulama and the scholars in a city called Maru. And that area, the sultan, the leader of the Muslims, used to respect the scholar. And he used to say, the scholar, you say, إنما وجدت في هذا المنصب بخدمة الأستاذ. That I only reached this position in my life where even the leader, the political leader of the time respects me, is because I used to serve my teacher. He said, that's the only reason I sit in the position that I sit in today. فإذا كنت أخدم الأستاذ القاضي الإمام أبي يزيد الدبوسي وكنت أخدمه وأطبخ طعامه 30 سنة ولا آكل منه شيئا. That I used to cook his food for 30 years and I wouldn't eat any of it. And then the last paragraph, which we will end on, is that he says, وكان الشيخ الإمام الأجل شمس الأئمة الحلواني رحمه الله قد خرج من بخارى. One of the great scholars by the name of Shamsul A'imma al-Halwani, he left the city of Bukhara, which is where Imam Bukhari is from. And when he left for a specific reason, a family reason, and his students visited him except one of his students. And eventually that student met with him and he saw the teacher, and the teacher asked, why didn't you visit me when all of your classmates did? He said that I was busy serving my mother. I was busy serving my mother. And the teacher said that by the service of your mother, you're given long life. تُرْزَقُ الْعُمَرُ وَلَا تُرْزَقُ رَوْنَقَ الدَّرْسِ. But you lost out on something else, and that is the light of the dars, of the lesson. So again, you pick and choose what you want, right? وَكَانَ كَذَلِكَ. And so فإنه كان يسكن في أكثر أوقاته القرى ولم ينتظم له الدرس فمن تأذى منه أستاذه يحرم بركة العلم ولم ينتفع به إلا قليلا. The one that doesn't respect his teacher, at the end of the day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes away barakah from that person's knowledge. There's a little bit more left, which we'll read it really fast and we'll be done. He says, إن المعلم والطبيب كلاهما لا ينصحان إذا هم لا يكرما. That the teacher and the doctor, both of them together, the teacher and the doctor, they don't give advice. They don't give a prescription unless they're respected. فَاصْبِرْ لِدَائِكَ إِنْ جَفَوْتَ طَبِيبَهُ. That you will have to be patient upon your disease if your doctor is angry with you. وَاقْنَعْ بِجَهْلِكَ إِنْ جَفَوْتَ مُعَلِّمًا. And you will have to be content with your ignorance if your teacher is angry with you. And then the last thing, which is the most interesting thing of this section, he says, وَحُكِيَ أَنَّ الْخَلِيفَ هَارُونَ الرَّشِيدِ. That the great Harun al-Rashid, the leader of the Muslims, بَعَثَ إِبْنَهُ إِلَى الْأَصْمَعِ. That he sent his son to the scholar by the name of Asma'i. Back then, the nobility, whether in Europe or even in the Muslim world, whatever it is, they would send their kids to scholars to go study. And so Harun al-Rashid, he sent his son to Asma'i to go study. لِيُعَلِّمَهُ الْعِلْمُ وَالْأَدَبِ. To teach him two things. Number one is knowledge and good character and good manners. فَرَآهُ يَوْمًا يَتَوَضَّأُ وَيَغْسِلُ رِجْلَهُ. And Harun al-Rashid, he saw the teacher making wudu and washing his feet. And he saw his son pouring water for his teacher. Meaning the son of Harun al-Rashid is pouring water on the teacher, for the teacher to wash his feet. فَعَاتَبَ الْأَصْمَعِ فِي ذَلِكَ بِقَوْلِهِ. So Harun al-Rashid, he scolded al-Asma'i and he said, what is going on? Why is this happening? Right? إنما بعثته إليك لتعلمه وتؤدبه لتعلمه وتؤدبه. I sent my son to learn from you and so that you teach him manners, right? And you might think that, okay, what he means by manners is don't wash the teacher's feet. But what does he say? فَلِمَاذَا لَمْ تَأْمُرْهُ بِأَنْ يُصَبَّ الْمَاء بِإِحْدَى يَدَيْهِ وَيَغْتَسِلُ بِالْأُخْرَى رِجْلَكَ. That he says that, why didn't you order my son to pour water with one hand and wash your feet with the other hand? Right? This is the way Harun al-Rashid was. And this is why he became one of the greatest leaders of the Muslim that ever existed. Because he taught his son the respect of scholars and the respect of knowledge. If we want knowledge, if we want the barakah of knowledge, we have to respect every single teacher, whether it's in our secular life, whether it's a brother or a sister or our parents, whoever it is that is teaching us something good, we have to respect them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us barakah in our knowledge. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. ياكم.